Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Game 2 of LGD China versus Rattlesnake. In Game 1, we saw Rattlesnake farm the ever-living crap out of their Alchemist, and then they couldn't seal the deal. In Game 2, will they have the solutions for LGD China? They feel a bit outmatched to me, Lumi, but it is a format where you take a game, all of a sudden you've got a point on the board.
Sure, and that's sometimes all you care about. So all of us that predicted 2-0 LGD, still good.
On track for now.
On track.
For
Barely.
once, I've bet the same as you guys. Normally, I bet the opposite, and I'm wrong.
You know, everybody after that game...
Even though I know more, guys.
Okay.
I just want to make the bets interesting.
Every time... That's why you have on Dreams and Mineski. You'll never live that one down on your Eastern qualifying predictions.
Wow, they actually banned Morphling. Lumi, you didn't predict this.
Nope, I did not. Well, that's different.
I felt the Morphling was actually decent last game, just because... And still the one thing that he's better at than most other carries is he's a pretty decent mid if you can just bottle Crow freely. And
yep.
He was allowed to bottle Crow freely that game.
And he was able to split push throughout the mid and late game, just drag the game out. His items are fine, but unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, we're not going to see Morphling this particular game as we see Bat Rider and then Nyx Assassin and what I believe to be either Rubik or Shadow Demon as a support that deals with the Bat picked up. But no, they're going to go with Visage, which is a hero that's been winning tons of game lately.
Visage, a strong choice here for Rattlesnake, and they also have the Nyx Assassin, so their burst damage is off the charts.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, these guys are working overtime. You throw out a Soul Assumption, a spammable miniature Laguna Blade in team fights if you have full charges, basically. That's a lot of damage, and you just tack on what the Nyx Assassin brings to bear. That's a lot of burst. It's also a good lineup to kind of deal with the Bat Rider. If he jumps in, you can Grave Chill him, you can Carapace and walk at the Firefly, you can Impale him. Lots of ways to kind of counter his initiation. On LGD side, they still get a Bat. They'll be happy with that. And I think the big thing when you get Bat Rider is it's not even how much he can do in the mid game. It's also the fact that he's Bat Rider. He'll do well in the laning stage, whether he's jungling or in a tough lane.
Yeah, his laning state. His laning is also what makes him kind of one of the most versatile and why he's such highly picked up. Shadow Demon, a very interesting choice as picked up. I'm not sure whether I like Shadow Demon. Excuse me, as much. It worked out fine last game because how the game ended up to be, but in terms of how you open up against these two particular supports, they nuke very hard. You got no nukes, so I'm not sure whether I like that.
Yeah, I guess they wanted to protect the Bat Rider a little bit, and they figure they have to get the Shadow Demon now, or Rattlesnake might just snap it up themselves, because of course Rattlesnake, with the new draft format, have the first pick coming out. Maybe they would run the Visage as a tri-lane farmer. I guess that's what they could have been thinking of, but otherwise, is it really worth getting him this early? We'll have to see what they have in store. They actually banned Spectre. What are the heroes that, if you want to pick, you often prefer to get the Shadow Demon for yourself? So, interesting to see they would choose to ban it. Maybe they have Anti-Mage in mind. That's the only other thing I can think of that would explain getting the Shadow Demon quite this early.
I mean, Spectre with Nyx Assassin and Visage tri-lane is actually dangerously scary because they have a lot of long range with the dagger and then a Grave Chill into a stun from your Nyx Assassin, and that person is generally dead. So, and they don't have the first pick out of the ban, I don't think. It's going to be Rattlesnake that has the first pick, so maybe that's what they're scared of. But at the same time, yeah, it's Spectre ban.
Yeah, we'll see it. Actually, a Chen ban out from Rattlesnake. They're really worried about the jungle game of LGD, which frankly, I would say they're one of the Chinese teams that runs those traditional junglers the least. They hardly ever run them. They're certainly capable of it. We've seen DD play things from time to time like the Enchantress, the Enigma, but not often. And Rattlesnake will go DK. So they get a strong kind of mid-game hero. He does all right against Bat Rider in lane. Generally, you shouldn't die, but you're going to get out-farmed if you're 1v1. And for Rattlesnake, they are just looking to kind of apply pressure around that sort of 6 to 8 minute mark, it looks.
Yeah, I'm also somewhat surprised that Darkseer isn't picked up just yet. There's arguments for Rattlesnake or for LG to pick up Darkseer, and there's also arguments for them to not pick it up. For one, Nyx Assassin is really good against Darkseer because of the mana burn, but the other, if you could get a level 16 Flame Dragon on your side, where he's dishing out AoE slow, that's not bad. So he's generally one of the highly picked up or highly banned hero, and surprised to see him kind of ignore so far.
The one thing I do like about the Dragon Knight pick against Bat Rider is it gives you that instant stun, where if you're in range for a Dragon Tail, you don't have to walk up to them, say you're in range for him. You just Dragon Tail Bat Rider when he jumps in. It's like having a Rubik, but you get a hero who does more for you as a farmer and can obviously be a tanky presence in the fight. So if you already want Dragon Knight, that's one more reason to get him because of that instant stun. And what are LGD going to go for? That's the next question. They are, of course, leading this set 1-0. You get 1 point per game that you win, but you take the series 2-0. That'll help you if it comes to tiebreakers, something Lumi was going over with me earlier. Thank you, Lumi.
No problem.
And, well, we'll see what LGD do. But any heroes they have their eyes on, I would think something like Lone Druid is often a hero they turn to, but I haven't seen it much as of late.
Yeah, we haven't seen Lone Druid. Is Alliance still picking up Lone Druid, do you know?
Yeah, Alliance has been picking him up, I think, with a similar frequency. But aside from, most other teams have not. Most other teams pick him up less.
And to be honest, obviously he's nowhere near as he was in terms of power level because of the armlet. But I still think he's a fine hero. Like before Armlet Bear, there was still Maelstrom and stuff, but that's not for this game, I guess.
And if you go for, I feel you can get away with a Lone Druid this game, especially if you want to send him mid, because Visage Nyx don't roam that well, and LGD is well known for their solo mid Lone Druid play. That's something Sylar is probably the best in the world at, because he does it more than anyone else.
Right.
Most teams just don't run Lone Druid mid. So you put him mid versus Dragon Knight, he can dominate that lane. Batrider will do well against a Windrunner, if that's how they want to run things, and then they just need to flesh out this tri-lane. Shadow Demon +2. That's where I think they'll run into trouble, because now they're up against what looks to be a Visage, Windrunner, Nyx tri-lane, 2 600 range heroes, lots of nukes, lots of lockdown. This is something we've seen out of Orange. Similar compositions to this, maybe with a Sandcane instead of a Nyx. I really like the Windrunner tri-lanes. I think they're very strong right now, especially when you already have Visage. And for LGD, I think that's going to be the hardest thing about this draft, is figuring out how do they tackle this.
Yeah. I mean, they just don't have any damage. I think walking into the mid and late game, that's really going to be a consideration. Sure, you have a ton of disable, and they all come in long range. Batrider Blink, Jakiro follow with Firefly, or not Firefly, with the Ice Path. But where is the damage coming out? And these last 2 picks have to remedy that, especially against Dragon Knight, against Visage, and Windrunner, who are kind of naturally fairly tanky heroes through their stats or their abilities.
Let's see what LGD go for. As you mentioned, they are lacking damage. Maybe we'll see them go back for kind of that classic 4 protect 1. They'll go for what looks to be the Yao Mag here. So probably going to be, I imagine, a mid Magnus, expecting the matchup 1v1 against Dragon Knight. That should be pretty even between the two of them. Both heroes need to Bottle Crow to really control the lane. So it's even though Bottle Crow's weaker, they're both weaker. It's pretty even still. And then that puts Batrider probably into the off lane. Maybe they even run the Batrider in the safe lane against that aggressive tri-lane. Very elusive hero naturally, but for LGD, now they need a carry. They have Empower, they have a little bit more nuke damage, but still no DPS.
Yeah, so I think this is also a very good game for Rattlesnake to go into a Doom if they want to do so. They have the lanes. If they run offensive tri-lane, Nyx Assassin, Visage, Windrunner, Dragon Knight solo mid, and go safe lane Doom. I think that's definitely...
Safe lane Doom against an off lane Bat?
Oh yeah, no, you can't do that. Take that back. I take that back
guess,
quick.
like, you can get levels. Doom is actually hard to kill with Scorched Earth.
No, you don't do bad against Doom.
They'll go Shadow Fiend, which, well, maybe it's just an off-lane Windrunner and a defensive tri-lane Shadow Fiend, because Shadow Fiend can't really do that well 1v1 against Batrider unless he gets a lot of support or is pulled heavily early on. That's a matchup Bat should do very well in. And mid, well, he'd do okay against Magnus, but he's pretty gankable. LGD, they pull one out of the hat. They'll go for the Phantom Assassin for Sylar, and now the game's gotten quite interesting.
I don't know. There is a Visage on the map.
Well, you can't dispute that it's gotten interesting. You
It
can
has-
dispute whether it's the right pick.
All right, it has gotten interesting. Let's just leave it at that. On Rattlesnake, they are down 1 game in the series. You can even call it a series or not, because each game is just worth 1 point. So maybe, again, a brand new start for Rattlesnake. Icy's going to be playing Dragon Knight. Lamb's going to be on Windrunner. We have Luo, the Shadow Fiend, Kabu playing the Nyx Assassin, and Neo is going to be handling the support Visage.
Yeah, Lamb is going to pick up an early Magic Stick, so expecting to go against the Batrider or a Tri-Lane. And on the side of LGD, we will have Yao handling the Batrider, not taking the reins for the Magnus. It'll be a Shao 8 Magnus, and it will go mid to start this game off. And DDC handling the Shadow Demon as that support player. Of course, DD, he was retired. He's come back, and he is playing like he never left the game at all. Last but not least, it will be the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sylar, and he'll be playing the Phantom Assassin. Maybe take a page out of the LGD's book, out of Loda's book. Of course, he did get thrashed by their Phantom Assassin by the Alliance of the G1 League Land Finals. And LGD, maybe not the most creative team, but definitely a team that can learn from other styles, and showing a bit of flair here with the PA pick.
Yeah, so what PA gives you as a carry is very good long-range follow-up initiation, or basically follow-up damage output, because level 6 Coupe de Graal is going to do a ton of crits, and with the simple face boost, you could start killing supports.
It's also just hard for anyone to stay in the lane against the PA as an off-lane solo. So If it's a tri-lane versus tri-lane, that's fine. I think the PA is still good. Wait, is it really icy here?
Yeah, it's going to be a
They're sending the
offensive
dragon.
tri-lane top.
Well, this is awkward, to say the least.
I mean, they expected a Magnus on the mid lane, and Shadow Fiend says, all right, free Magnus, but this is what we're going to see, a Bat versus Shadow Fiend. Is this 2011? Is this 2012? Because I haven't seen that matchup.
The good news for Luo is his team got the first rune. He's got an Observer Ward top, which is the place you want it, because that's what the tri-lane for LGD is. And his team's aggressive tri-laning, which effectively protects the Shadow Fiend. So he should be in good shape. The other thing is he got the better creep block. So he's already 2-1 because Yao was actually checking the bottom rune. So everything that you would want to run a solo mid Shadow Fiend is in place.
Yeah,
he should have a good start. And he's been pulled as well. Literally the perfect scenario to do well on the Shadow Fiend mid.
He also is 6 stacks, so he just have to back off. So you talked about all the advantages. Batrider is still freaking Batrider.
DD? Well, he'll hang out in the jungle here. He's feeling confident because it's level 1, but that may change soon. A bit of a D-ward skirmish going on, and Kawa just slapping away at this ward. In the end, Rattlesnake, they prevail. They will get the first D-ward out. Unfortunately, they haven't found the Dire Observer, and I'm not sure if they will. Do they have another sentry? They don't. So this Observer will give a lot of vision to LGD for a long time. It's a tri-lane DK. The problem with tri-laning against PA is, first of all, she's hard to kill because she has the Blink Strike. The other issue is, if you're good, you can farm a lot of creeps just using Dagger.
Yeah, Dagger, very spammable. The mana cost is fairly low. He's actually haven't skilled the second point yet, so he's gauging whether he needs Blur or does he want Blink Strike. I think Blink Strike is generically or generally better. And maybe pick up Blur at level 3 if you're very defensive, but yeah, he's gone for the Blink Strike.
So Lumi, the one matchup we haven't talked about is the safe
lane. Well, we'll talk about that later. Disruption up top. Ice Path is going to follow through. No, it's going to be a dual breath. Blink Strike up top here. Where's the Stifling Dagger? There's a follow-up, and it's going to first blood. Goes to Shadow Demon, and fight perhaps not over just yet. They could re-engage quite easily because the cooldowns are low, but seems like LG says we'll engage later.
Well, Disruption, the one that has a pretty long cooldown. The rest are, of course, very short, but they'll back off. They get a first blood, and the defensive tri-lane Rattlesnake, they're doing all right in spite of that. They do have the Shadow Fiend farming mid safely. Lamb doing well bottom lane, not really dominating Xiaowe's Magnus, but still doing well. And speaking of Xiaowe's Magnus, they did end up swapping their lanes. They sent Yao mid on the bat. Originally, it was going to be the Mag there, so a bit of a lane swap from LGD, and I don't know if it's good enough for Rattlesnake. When you run the aggressive tri-lane, you want your safe lane solo to really snowball and dominate the matchup, and he's winning the lane, but he's not really dominating it that heavily.
I think having a farm windrunner is oftentimes quite magical. Having things like early 4-staff, early mech is always nice, but I agree with you. Is it really what you want out of a 1-row? Maybe you want that Dragon Knight to be rising hard there.
Or just sending the Dragon Knight mid, maybe just giving up the off lane or having Windrunner left alone. I guess they just felt like they didn't have a choice. Windrunner, unfortunately, when you go for her, she's not a Darkseer, she's not a Batrider. She can't just go jungle efficiently unless you want to try and be really cheeky and like abuse the tree line on the Dire side. And
yeah, I think what really was
like
is they expected the Bat to be bot and they expected the Mag to be mid, and that would have actually favored them if that's the expectation came true, and it didn't. So they're kind of stuck with these lanes.
But they are starting to pull ahead a bit. Now it's 15-3 on Lamb. He's accruing a bit more of an advantage. And mid lane, Luo 14-5. And it will actually get to a point where Shadow Fiend can do very well against the Batrider. Because if Batrider tries to go on you, you raise him as he comes near you. And even if he engages, unless he's got backup, he'll end up just dying to the set of raises that you throw his way when he's coming in and when he's actually on top of you. So Luo's in good shape right now. Windrunner's in good shape. They are still winning 2 solo lanes, despite the fact they're losing a tri-lane. They're behind in terms of gold. They're behind in terms of experience, but I don't feel they're in a horrible position. It's just not really ideal.
They're not. I mean, the mid matchup, Luo perhaps actually going to be in trouble.
Misses the first raise. That could be costly. There's your flame break, but the threat of additional raise is enough to drive Yao back.
Yeah, generally how you want to play this matchup as Shadow Fiend mid is constantly raise so that the creep wave doesn't get close to your tower, and it's going to be somewhat difficult for Yao to dive. As you just saw there, because the creep wave started in the mid lane, and as Yao is diving in, the tower immediately focused on Yao because there's no creep tanking for him, and Yao just had to back off. So Luo's playing this matchup perfectly, and your base damage is actually greater than Batrider's right now. So he's actually
he's hitting for about 100 a pop.
Right, he's zoning the Batrider out. So nicely played.
Luo's not messing around, and this top lane Sylar getting a lot of farm. All things considered, he's actually 22-2, the lead farmer. They got first blood, but he's still against an aggressive tri-lane. It really shows you the strengths of the PA. Just Dagger easy to farm with. You can be more aggressive walking in for last hits because you can always Blink Strike out. And let's be honest, Lumi, it's a Dragon Knight tri-lane. It's not that strong, and LGD are taking advantage.
Yeah, Dragon Knight tri-lane is like having a life slur with 200 cast range open moons because he You need everybody.
Actually, you're right.
Yeah.
It is a melee stun, basically.
Right. So until he's level 6, which he won't for any time soon, so it's somewhat tough. And I mean, LG,
You know what's funny now? Sylar's phase boots, I think they could just leave him alone. Because how are Rattlesnake actually going to get in range to stun him?
well, I mean, he probably can't farm that.
Well, just with Dagger.
I guess so. That's fine.
And then they're laning 3 heroes, not kill your PA, and you're just constantly stacking and pulling or even smoke yanking. They have a decent smoke yank lineup. Shadow Demon, Jakiro. It's a lot of lockdown. It's a little bit light on damage. But
Stun,
they're going to go on Sylar top, and they get the Grave Chill off. He's still got phase boots. He's got Blink Strike. He doesn't even need to use it. That was with him maybe being a little overconfident, overzealous. But if he sits back, he really doesn't need help.
Yeah. I mean, but to be fair to LGD China, though, like, if, let's say, they didn't get that first blood up top, you could easily argue that Rattlesnake's winning all the lanes, right? Or, in fact, they're...
Oh, Luo really trying to go for this top rune, but Yao's got a Flame Break. He'll push him back and towards himself. He's got a Firefly available, just leveled up, just secured the lasso. At the same time, it's going to be Rattlesnake rotating towards this river. Who's going to initiate first? They're going to work their way up onto the high ground. Now they've got a Grave Chill ready. Will they go on DDC? Yes, they will. Disruption is available. He's hoofing it towards his teammates. And unfortunately, it's just too far for Rattlesnake to go. They'll back on out.
Boots on DDC and no boots on Kabu, so that's why he was not able to catch up, even despite there's a Grave Chill on top. But it's
The
fine.
first blood, as well as the fact that they just haven't been able to do much top lane for Rattlesnake, really hurting them now.
Yeah, and that's their gang kind of tempted at the mid lane, not going to do much. But Rattlesnake used a smoke and wasn't able to accomplish too much as well. So it's kind of a parity on one side. It looks like we are going to see a little bit of rotation on Kabu. Maybe they're expecting a dive coming up from the Batrider and hopefully getting a return kill as a result.
Duo's farming well right now. He's got the power treads online, and you just wants to tank up a little bit to live through that initial burst. We'll see the Firefly deployed by Yao, trying to push the lane out and get some additional farm going his way. I just want to point out, Xiaoi's farming very well. He's an off-lane mag against a Windrunner. He's gotten kind of lucky with the runes. He got guest bot, well, didn't guest bottom, but went bottom, got a double damage there. But off-lane mag, 1v1 against Windrunner, just constant Bottle Crow shockwave spam. This is what you want. I mean, normally Magnus can't 1v1, or can't really off-lane, but 1v1 he's actually decent, at least in this match. We'll go in now on Icy, top lane, the disruption. Now a blink, insta-crit, tries to deny himself to the neutral. No such luck for Icy.
Coup de Gras, pretty good spell when you procs.
Yeah, that needs some additional sound effects, I gotta say.
Yeah. What, you want some dubstep explosion when you get some crits in a team fight and you get your
I
own
want,
4
yeah,
LG?
I want my Dota to just get drunk and go nuts.
Your
Whenever
own MLG video at the middle of a team
Yeah.
fight when you get some attack speed.
Speaking of which, we'll get the Witch Doctor library back. I've been meaning to give it to Kawa. I know some people during the longer breaks are a little sad we just have the overlays. But don't worry, guys. We'll have our Witch Doctor remixes back soon.
Well.
At least if I have my way. Some people flame them, but I'm a big fan. They might go in bottom lane on Xiaowei. The power shot's there. Shackle available. They can't find the angle just yet. They're trying to get it, but he RPs too. He's got a skewer. He's got a shockwave. He won't use either. The Carapace actually forcing him back. He will be able to get away. Blue and RP got out alive. Not the
One
best.
patch ago, he would have got that kill. I'm just gonna say,
Yeah.
because instead of doing 50 damage that he does now, it used to do 150 at level 1. It's actually a pretty big deal. Kabu's gonna get caught by that ice path, and
Oh, he tries to tango through, but he eats the wrong tree, and now he's in trouble. The dual breast's going to connect. Yao on the hunt. Oh, no RP, but do they even need it? No, you
Nice.
don't. Long range snipe down action. Meanwhile, top lane, they just can't do anything to punish Sylar. They're dual laning against him, and they're not stopping him from farming. The good news is Luo is farming freely, but you look at the lineup LGD has, I don't know if the Shadow Fiend can ever feel safe. Even if he gets a BKB, he can still be lassoed and critted and RP'd, and before he gets that, of course, he's very vulnerable, so this will have to be some Yaffit's level play, because they're losing top lane, Windrunner just died, game is, it's not out of reach for Rattlesnake, but it feels like they're not getting any traction so far anyway.
yeah, this is very reminiscent of LGD's game against Alliance, where
Well,
Alliance did the exact same thing to them. You park the PA atop, keep farming, and then everybody else just kept ganking.
As I say, they're not getting traction. Lamb does have a 9.5 minute mech, but he's going back bottom to farm with it, which isn't really ideal.
Right, when you get the Lamb, you want to group up and push, and they do have the heroes to do it, but seems like they haven't really left the laning stage yet.
They don't have the levels yet, though, because Visage is only level 4. Sagam doesn't actually have access to his familiars. They really need that, and Icy, no dragon form. They at least need one of those. I feel they need both. That's the big concern for me. It's just Rattlesnake, both their supports need level 6, and even their Dragon Knight, feeling a bit starved right now for experience.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna just farm, which this game is I think coming to that point of just free farming. I think having a Shadow Fiend is not bad because he's one of the fastest flash farmer. He's a great defensive hero in terms of stopping early game pushes because of his raises. It's okay, and it seems like he's going to be going for BKB first, which doesn't help you too much against Bat Rider or against the Magnus.
This could be bad. DDC is going in mid. They're going to disrupt Icy, following up with the Soul Catcher. Now the Ice Path, they're going to lasso him and pull him back in a hurry. That's a hasted Bat Rider. Carapace still there, but Icy caught in the river. Should be going down any second now. He will get picked off in the end. The Firefly completes the kill, and that was 3 or 4 heroes TPing in for naught. Now Lamb in a bit of a pickle bottom lane. All the nukes have been used by Xiao. Once again RPing, but cannot find the kill. That's 2 RPs down the drain. 0 kills secured, and the mech and the wand both being used to keep Lamb alive. So great play from him, but in the end, LGD, they're fine to use an ult or 2, get a kill here or there, because they go back to farming, and they're farming with a PA and a Magnus. This team goes very late.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you have BKB, it will debuff your power, so there's some kind of awkward interaction, but at the same time, the team is so well built. You keep in mind that you are on the dire side. Very easy for LG to pick up a medallion and secured Roshan's advantage as well. Luo gets scouted out by the Firefly. Seems like he just want to assist Winter on the bot lane or take over this lane, maybe.
Oh, that's a lot of gold for Yao. He'll be very close to his Blink Dagger. And then we look at Xiao. Does he have one yet? He's going back for Arcane Boots. It's going to say picked up a pair of Observer Wards, but those actually by DDC. So they'll get the Blink on Bat Rider. And then I think for LGD, whenever your ults are up, you go pick a fight. When they're not, you just split push, and they can split push quickly, and they'll just go for trades. For Luo going for BKB, he's pushing in this bottom lane. Rattlesnake really looking for a win here in their second match of the day against LGD. They lost the first one. They'll need to take a win here, or else they'll drop to 0-2 in their first 2 sets, or their first set, their first 2 games. Lamb continuing to chip away, volley after volley being thrown at the tower. The creep wave is killed off. No Bat Rider blink just yet, and they'll take the tower. They look for more. They cannot find it yet. Kabu's still not level 6. Sagam's still not level 6. These supports are a bit starved right now. That's still the one big concern for Rattlesnake.
Yeah, I like the fact that Rattlesnake, Neo hasn't rotated to the bot lane to help the team push. You just want the level 6. Once you get level 6, the towers come a lot easier. Same thing with the Nyx Assassin, so gotta just kind of take the lane from the carry for a bit, whether the carries like it or not. They really, those level 6ers are more important right now.
Give me that lane. That's what they say. Yeah, he's got an Invisor now. He's very close to his Blink Dagger. It's not going to be the fastest Blink, but all things considered, a decent timing to get it. And up against Shadow Fiend, who got pulled, who had, again, went for the creep block, the perfect start in every possible way, while Bat Rider unluckily gets for the wrong room. Still a decent time for Yao. He did lose the mid lane heavily at that, but he's Bat Rider. You get the blink, you'll try to go to work. Lamb lurking under the tower. The entire squad is here for Rattlesnake. They'll cluster up and maybe look towards a push. Yao, they'll fish around. Now the Familiars are online, and now with a mech, Familiars, and the level 6 for the Dragon Knight, they have the Dragon form. They can start to work on these towers in a hurry. The Familiars going to take it down. Ice Path not going to be useful there. Disruption thrown out. Flame Break pushes 3 back. The mech turns it around. Kabu was it down to about 50 HP, but a skewer in by Xiao. RP catches 3. This could be bad. This could be very, very bad. But is there the follow-up needed? Now there is. Sylar jumps in. Does get stunned. Raised up Yafet style from Luo. Still trying to fight his way out. He's going to live. He'll find 2. This was after a 3-hero RP. DD finding 1 kill in the backline. Lamb fishing for a power shot. He doesn't have it. Yes, he does. Nails it, drills it, and slams it home. And when it's all said and done, they find 4 kills. Let me just remind you, Lumi, that was a 3-hero RP into a Shockwave, into an Ice Path, and they still got crushed.
You know why they don't get those kills? 6.78 RP. 50 damage, guys. 50 whopping damage. Of course, the 50% damage reduction from Shadow Fiend after ultimate, that's deceptively large as well, because your PA shouldn't hit it for anything after that. So the mech, like you said, also perhaps the biggest deal. And I do want to point out that 2 people ran away alive, but Visage Bird got a free kill over here on a Shadow Demon. I mean, that's to show you the power of Visage when the birds get a hunting kill like on the other side of the map.
I was trying to find your camera on the map, and then I realized that we're sitting next to each other. I can just look at your screen.
Yeah.
And yeah,
that's
that was
why
a
we
long
cast
way
in
to
the studio.
That was really on the backside. Yeah. Little did I know. BKB now picked up on Luo. They're getting some big items to 5-man. BKB on the Shadow Fiend. And for LGD, I think they really just want to find pickoffs. They don't look like they can teamfight too effectively right now.
I mean, we saw the full extent of their team fight, right? but just wasn't enough because there was no Blink Dagger, there's no level 11 on Xiao. And look at that tier 1 tower goes down. I just like to remind how this game started up. It was first split up top for LGD. They had a 4-kill lead, and suddenly now it's 4-6 in, well, it's still in favor of LGD, but I think the game is very much so in the control of RS, and they're pushing for more because they got the farming item, or the pushing item, they got the mech, and they're going to keep on going.
Here come the familiar. Shackle's going to connect on Xiao 8. It was a side swipe from Lamb. They'll find that kill, the familiars, stomping it home, and now Rattlesnake looking at a tier 2 top. There won't be a trade in sight for LGD. In fact, they're just having trouble dealing with these familiars. There's going to be a dagger on Luo. You don't actually want to jump him. You just want to force off his BKB and get the hell out. But now they're in trouble. Kawa's jumped in from the side. There's the carapace to fly. Yao's locked back for a moment, but not quite enough. Now the soul assumption. The familiars giving chase. Cannot find the kill. Raze is thrown out haphazardly. Not going to connect either. And Rattlesnake in the end. They take a tier 2. They find a kill on the Magnus, which is a big kill because he was starting to work towards a Blink Dagger. Had 1,200 gold. Rattlesnake continued to pull ahead. But as we saw in Game 1, it's not can this team get ahead. We know they can. Can they finish the deal? That's the big question.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't go into hardcore farming mode again, but it doesn't seem like it. Look at the item purchase on the Windrunner. It's mech into a freaking urn. They just want to get these towers down now, and having the extra sustain is very helpful. For me, Rattlesnake got that tower up top basically for free. They even got a kill or two, I think, out of that exchange. BKB wasn't even forced to being popped on Luo. That's all you really want in this early game phase. They should start looking at tier 2, maybe even at Roshan as well, because you have Shadow Fiend. The minus armor is fairly nice.
And the fact that they're having these successful fights means so much, because they have a Visage and a Nyx Assassin, just a great hunting lineup. For you see a hero farming by himself, you send the familiars in, you send the Nyx in, and you can find those kills. We'll see Lamb actually go back for an Urn of Shadows and completes his power tread. So going pure utility items thus far, just wanting to keep the pressure up, not wanting to give LGD any breathing room, which I quite like. I felt this was what they lacked in Game 1. They had a lead. They didn't push the issue. This game, totally different approach.
Yeah, having Shadow Fiend as your carry in this choice, great in terms of mowing down creep wave during a push. And of course, here comes a long-term siege.
Great in terms of just hitting towers too.
Yeah.
Familiar scouting things out. It's hard for them to initiate, but it's not hard for Rattlesnake to do it. There's your power shot cleanup kill from Lamb in aisle 3, and now they'll continue to work on the tower. They do have to be careful. There is an RP available. Batrider looking. He'll jump in. This could be a 3-hero RP. There's a skewer. RP's there. He actually got Carapace. Now shackled for the moment. He only ended up catching Luo, and the familiars now the impale onto Shadow Fiend going to work with those big bad raises. They want DD as well. Power shots there. Should connect. No, wildly off the mark. But familiars are there when you need it. He turns them around. He might have been able to get the kill.
No, the Urn from Windrunner. OP stuff. Gonna get that one kill. Tier 2 tower
I thought
goes
he
down.
needed one more familiar hit, but I was wrong. Just had enough with the Urn.
And now they will TP back home, forced to use a ton of resources, but Luo says more farm up on the top lane. Again, during the draft, I asked, where the hell is the damage coming from? Because you have the Batrider, you have the Shadow Demon, and Jakiro as your 3-core disabler.
Well, it's them crits, man.
Well,
we're
not hearing any dubsteps right now. That's all I'm saying. And it is LGD team fighting, or at least trying to team fight, and they're dying. It's like 2-man RP, 3-man RP, but they do no damage either. So it's tough, and I hope Rattlesnake sense the fact that they have a big lead. Take the last tier 2 tower, take Roshan, and says, hey guys, where are your tier 3 towers? Where are your Raxus?
They should definitely know they have a big lead. With the number of fights they've taken, 18.5 minutes in, to have a Shadow Fiend who has just spent 3k gold, what's on the courier? It's going to be big. It's an Ultimate Orb and a Blade of Alacrity. Oh man, he is really getting fat, and he'll go for more of a late game build, not going for the Shadow Blade. I like this. You look at their lineup, they're ahead enough. He can't really die too easily unless he's just off farming way by himself, but they're so good at 5-manning now. Do you really need to be split pushing? I think with the lead Rattlesnake have, they're better off. You defend your towers, but otherwise just force the fights, take the tier 2s, and systematically work your way towards the racks. Take a Roche, get some good observer wards up, delay the Blink Dagger as long as humanly possible on Xiao 8, who still doesn't have it. 19 minutes in, I imagine the average time for a Blink Dagger is around or before this point, at least in 6.77. It's like feeling quite a bit late.
12 minutes, something like that, but yeah, here comes Rattlesnake. Just getting that free tower that's rightfully theirs. Right clicks, all from all the range shields.
I love that familiar. It just had like, that's a 2-hero familiar stun, but it's not going to go in. It just ran through the ice path. What a tower denied by DDC.
That's fine.
But ran through the ice path and then just had like ice all over the wings. That was kind of cute.
Also, the way that one of the familiar always follows Luo around. In any case that he gets ganked or something, you have a stun that protects him. But Here comes a Roshan coming out from Rattlesnake. It's as if the game is scripted by them. Just a free rotation into the pit, and the right click from the minus armor being provided by the presence of the Dark Lord.
Director 8 is well known, Xiao 8, for saying
he's not directing this movie.
The script has been written. It's already been written, but who's written it? That's what we have to find out. Right now, it feels like Rattlesnake are the ones doing the writing, or Xiao 8's a masochist because he's scripted his team into a bad situation, a sticky one at that, and they're in a dire straits, I gotta say. 8K gold lead down, 3K experience. The numbers aren't that bad just in terms of raw deficit, but it's more Rattlesnake have the kind of map control where they can benefit from farming. They can farm the map quite aggressively, and if they take 1 or 2 more big fights, then you might be looking at racks, especially with Shadow Fiend. Now the Manta style is ready, 900 gold available, can buy the recipe right now. They can start sieging the base, maybe not committing to a fight. That would be a little bit harder, but with no Blink Dagger on Xiao yet, they have a few minutes to get aggressive here, and they might go in now. Kabu, undercover Vendetta, looking for a kill. Not going to find one yet, but they're going to force this fight.
I mean, earlier we were talking about Shadow Fiend's item choices to not go Shadow Blade, and by that item choice alone, I felt like Rattlesnake realized they could siege and push early and win, because if you want to go for a longer game, having the Shadow Blade to split push and the safety Grand Shear is not bad. But Manta style, great in terms of just naturally hitting harder, but more importantly, having illusions, like you said, to siege the towers.
Unfortunately, Xiao 8 does have his Blink now. So the fight will get harder, but for LGD, it's still that question you asked earlier. Where's the damage? Sylar has a BKB. That doesn't give you damage. In fact, that reduces your damage when it removes the Empower. Yep. So Sylar has the BKB, but there's a lot of physical damage output on the side of Rattlesnake. I feel like they can just tank the auto attacks, and or even if he tanks the nukes, he'll just die to the auto attacks potentially. So well, he'll need to be counting on his 40% evasion once he gets it maxed out.
Right, he does have Blur. And the more important thing to talk about is that he actually needs the BKB badly, because the 50% damage reduction from Requiem of Soul does not hit through BKB. And if he's not BKB, he loses half his damage. I mean, even if you're critting, even if there's MLG videos in the background, you're not critting hard. Or at least hard enough.
MLG videos, huh? MLG Anaheim is coming up soon, I believe, but that's neither here nor there. Luo going to be working on the creep wave mid. He'll look to push it in. He does have the Manta style complete. Rattlesnake working towards potentially this first push up the hill. Can they make it work? Last game, they waited too long, and then when they did look to strike, they were not very organized in their approach. Will it be more effective? That's really the question for them. They are starting to feel like one of those teams that maybe can have a good start, but can't seem to close the deal. Can they do it against a top Chinese team, against a premier squad like LGD China? We'll find out now. Familiar's going to scout things out on the high ground. They'll do a little bit of auto-attacking here, maybe looking for a stun, but no big commitment. They're just going to waltz right in. Let's break the high ground. Luo says, I'll stand in the front. I've got a BKB and an Age as well. Well, takes too much tower damage. He may be forced to use that soon. Icy chipping away as well with the Poison Breath. Lamb, a little bit clumped up on the side of Rattlesnake, but they'll back off. They'll wait for the next wave. Overall, I just like the fact they're going for it instead of sitting back and farming.
Yeah, I mean, they're almost saying, hey, Yao, we are, or Xiao A, who's playing it right now, we are clump up. Come at us. We're forced you to fight. We have multiple force staffs. We got mechs. We got urns. We got enough sustain. Just come at us. And
there may have been a bro in there as well.
Come at us. Broski.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Luo defending bot. They're not giving away any free towers. This is something I'd like to see. Last game, they were up by 10k gold. Very similar situation, and they were refusing to defend their towers. And LG China was able to get a ton of free gold. This game is saying you're not even getting a tier 1.
Speaking of gold, it's now peaked off or just above a 10k gold lead for LGD. 6 or 5k experience lead approximately, or for Rattlesnake, I mean, which is a decent lead, but yet I don't feel it's overwhelming. You look at LGD, and they have a very strong late game lineup. Their supports go late, especially Shadow Demon. PA, one of the hardest late game carries, even though you always talk about how good of a mid game hero she is. She's got RP, she's got Empower on her side. She goes very late. And of course, you have a Bat Rider as well. 2 ultimates that go through Magic Immunity. Rattlesnake, maybe they can win this late, but I feel their window is still going to be in the next 5 to 10 minutes. That's the best chance they have to win the game. I
mean, Aegis should be coming back or expiring very soon, or in about 2 minutes or so. We're going to see Rattlesnake make a decision right about now, I think. I don't want to really wait for it anytime soon.
Yeah, I think it's about a minute and a half. We'll probably see that reclaim timer any second now, and they're looking to push bottom.
Personally, I think they should be pushing mid a little bit. They do rotate mid because the tier 3 tower is a little bit down in terms of HP. The choke is a little bit wider, so you don't get the chance of being a higher, instead of a 4-man RP, it would be like 2 or 3 maybe. So here we go.
RP has a way of finding people. In my experience, it always does. Luo will pop the Mantis spell. They'll start chipping away at this tower. There is going to be a lot of AoE to bring those illusions down. They continue to siege it out, and the Poison Breath on the level 2 Dragon Form ultimate might be making the difference. They take the tower down. Rattlesnake one step closer to potentially taking their first lane of racks, but one lane of racks won't win this game. They need a little bit more. It'll be a great start if they can pull it off, though. Power Shot clears out the creeps. If they don't go now, that Aegis will expire. The Shackle, hoping and praying for a connection. Won't find one there. Now they go again. Icy, straight up onto the high ground. Looks to chip away. There's your stun. DDC gets caught. Now a lasso on Icy. Not ideal. That's going to be a lot of stuns from the familiars. The Impale as well coming out from the Nyx. They find a few. Now the RP, but to what end, shall we? He doesn't have the backup. Will actually pile drive them all into the tower. He got 5 with the RP. He skewers 4 back, but it doesn't matter. Sylar's going to drop. Luo's still going to work. Still has the Aegis. He even wants to die now. Triple kill for Luo. Summoning his inner Yafits. He really is this game. GG from LGD China. They're not even going to duke it out any longer. They get wiped. That was a 5-man RP, a 4-man skewer into the tower. It was too late, Lumi, and it didn't matter.
Where is the deeps?
No deeps, no dice.
I can't find it anywhere. Normally you say too much deeps. These can't hold them.
I'm really sad I'm not playing Lumi Bingo right now, because I would love to imbibe tonight.
You already got like 3 lines filled up.
Yeah.
Don't have Splurf though. No Leshrac this game.
No Splurfs this game.
Yeah.
And for LGD, a bit of a splurf from their side.
Yeah, it was a different kind of splurf.
In general today, losing that game to MUFC, losing a game to Rattlesnake, I would say LGD...
And would have lost the first game as well.
I expect them to 2-0 both of these teams. Right. I think for them it's not good enough to just go 1-1, not to take anything away from Rattlesnake or MUFC. They're both very solid teams, and maybe with MUFC they can take kind of a pocket win here or there, but I feel LGD is going to be saying, this was not a good day of Dota for us. We're not happy breaking 1-1. They want to 2-0 teams like this and not able to do it.
I don't think it mostly was his plays this game. I think it was really the draft. Or maybe they expected a lot more out of the Batrider, a lot more out of the Magnus. And sure, the Windrunner, we were questioning whether it's a great decision to lane her there, but she ate 2 RPs and survived it, and the snowball was not there.
Her mech won them that big team fight mid, and I think that big team fight mid was where the game kind of fell apart for LGD.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the end, the early mech, I was like, well, he's going back to farm, but when he did come to the fights, it made a world of difference. And in the end, it's going to be LGD China 1-1 in this match. So for Rattlesnake, they'll be pretty happy. They take a game off of LGD. They start to find their footing here. And I think the one thing that I really liked above all else was they were decisive this game.
Yeah, they were.
They also played well individually. You look at Luo, 8-0-4 on the Shadow Fiend, 200 CS.
Against a Bat.
Against a Bat mid. There were a couple of reasons why he won that lane. He got the better creep block because Batrider was checking bottom rune. Rune wasn't there. He was pulled regen, and he got the first few last hits. And once you have that kind of start, the lane gets easier. The other thing that I liked from Rattlesnake was they ran that aggressive tri with DK. As much as DK isn't a good tri-lane hero, it kept the pressure off the Shadow Fiend because LGD couldn't really go and gank mid. So Shadow Fiend got the 1v1. Made it work.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Rattlesnake would be happy. I think they should have been expecting him to get a 2-0 because how game 1, they were leading by 10k gold.
That's true.
But let's send it back to the analysts and let's see what they think about how Rattlesnake performed today.
I was pretty impressed with game 2. I'm not so sure about you, but I definitely agree that I think LGD got a little outdrafted. They definitely lacked disables. I felt like PA never did anything. The first fight where she showed up in the mid lane, Shadow Fiend ulted right on top of her. She attacked Shadow Fiend like 4 or 5 times, 0 crits. And when that happens, how do you win team fights? Like, they needed to crit the Shadow Fiend there and kill him before he got his ulti off. And all the magic burst was able to just wipe the PA at the start of the fight right after. So
yeah, getting that fast mech. And the biggest thing for me to note here is that it just seemed like LGD wasn't familiar with how much damage the new Magnus put out. They put a lot on him, and I mean, Xiao 8 hit 3 or 4 5-man RPs the entire time. He had beautiful RPs, and yet it just didn't matter.
Yeah,
it didn't matter.
It was the same in the bot lane as well. There was the RP on top of the Windrunner. He was going for kills, and he didn't get them. And when that happens, then it puts your really powerful ultimate on cooldown for a while. And if you can't make those kills, then you can't snowball on the important heroes and get the blink daggers up on time. It was like they kept losing team fights or ganks just barely, and that gold really does add up because it prevents you from having a better team fight later.
Yep. And I mean, aside from that, not much to talk about. The Shadow Fiend was able to win mid. The tri-lane did pretty well, but I mean, they kind of just petered out at the end, and then from there on, it wasn't enough of an advantage, and Shadow Fiend just did so well, as did Windrunner, getting that really fast mech.
Yeah, at the end of the game, Phantom Assassin's endgame items were a Phase, BKB, and a Vlad's, and the rest of his team, Bracers, Wands, and two Blink Daggers. That was it. So they really never got anything major up. You can't fight against a BKB Manta Shadow Fiend at that point because he starts hitting for 150, 200, plus he can ulti, plus he can double raise his supports, things like that. It's just nearly impossible to come back. When they won that team fight mid at the tier 2, I thought they were going to give up right there, honestly. Yeah. They were so far behind already, and it was really, really tough. But at least they held out until the racks ended. Yep. I don't know. That's the best thing that they could do. So, yeah, that's going to be 1 for 1 for 1-1 for today. Not what anybody expected. I was wrong on both counts. Man, I suck. So LGD not steamrolling through.
Terrible.
I know, I'm so terrible. LGD not rolling through and steamrolling everybody. They're going to end the day 2-2. Rattlesnake is going to go 1-1 for today, and MUFC as well going 1-1. LGD int, we previously had an 0-2, but we talked about it. It's actually an 0-4 because they are forfeiting 2 matches, which means that they are getting an 0-2 on 2 matches, which makes them look terrible here on the graph, but they still do have a chance of coming through. They can play in the bracket as they get seeded through. They're most likely going to get seeded pretty low unless they do really, really well the next couple days or the next couple play dates, but hopefully for them they do, of course, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and of course, just to follow up as far as the group standings go, that's going to put DK at 2-0, so we'll update them when we have a moment here. But DK are currently 2-0 from the forfeit win. Tomorrow, MUFC... Or sorry, not MUFC, but Rattlesnake will get 2 points off of that. So Rattlesnake is actually going to be...
They could have been 4-0.
They're 3-1. They could be 4-0. They could be on top of the group. Granted, one of them a forfeit win, but points are points, man. End of the day. And for LGDN, again, nobody gets eliminated out of this group stage, which is one of the really cool things about the format is if you have a favorite team, no matter what, you get to follow them at least a few extra games in the tournament. But we'll move forward, and after we look at these group standings, we'll actually have them updated very quickly. Thank you, Kawa. So... Rattlesnake now 3-1, DK 2-0, LGD China 2-2. I would have thought LGD China would be sitting pretty, but
they should be up on the bracket, right? On the top of the bracket.
This actually, to me, this tells me that, I mean, DK, first of all, they can just win the group if they win out, but I would say I expect Rattlesnake to drop at least 1 game, if not 2, to DK anyway, so it gives DK that inside track to take the group.
Yeah. I mean, I think they, to me, they're the best team, the strongest team in this group right now. They looked a lot stronger, I would say, as of late, especially. Like, they played really well in the Dota 2 Super League, and LGD looked very strong in G1 League. They still look like a solid team, but today was just not their day. Unfortunately, they chose to have kind of a mediocre day on the day when they had 2 matches. So they're not out of it, but taking first place is going to be the ultimate goal. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's coverage. We'll take a quick look at the schedule for tomorrow and see what's coming up for us then, as I wait for our beautiful transition with hexagons, not octagons. The blaring white background.
To load. I love it, man. They actually move. If you haven't noticed yet, it'll probably blow your mind.
Holy shit.
LGD China versus MUFC. That'll be our first match tomorrow. It's going to be at 18 SGT. Again, LGD had to forfeit one of their matches, that second match that they were scheduled for, because Brax had a visa issue, needed to go to Hong Kong to sort it out. Won't be able to play, so they choose to forfeit. But then we'll come back with LGD China's final match of the group. They'll be playing Rattlesnake. So 2 matches tomorrow, and then you can see the first match for the following day, which is actually going to be, I believe, on the 23rd. So after tomorrow, we have 2 more games. Then we take a break for 4 or 5 days. We'll come back, and we'll wrap things up in Group A. We'll move forward into Group B. But that concludes our inaugural day of action for the Alienware Cup.
Did you forget for a second?
I forget a lot of things right now. It's been a long day, but big shout-outs, of course, to our sponsors, Alienware, as well as MasterCard, for making this tournament possible. Thank you very much.
See that? You said Alienware, and then as you said MasterCard, it flipped.
Bam. We planned it the whole time.
I'm getting that Purge mojo flowing right now. Yeah. And of course, huge shout-out to DPM and DPM Interactive, her team, for organizing this tournament, orchestrating it, and making it all possible. We're just delighted to be a part of it as the broadcast English partners. So, with all that being said, guys, it concludes today's action. We'll now have a rebroadcast coming up for y'all next, but we're done. We'll take a break. We'll come back tomorrow at 18 SGT when the Alienware Cup continues with Day 2 action.